Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Adobe Live. Hello, hello. I see so many familiar faces in the chat. Thank you all for sticking around to hang out. I see Steve and Lindsay and Jennifer and Cody and Donna. Thank you all so much for joining us. Big shout out to all of our awesome designers we have already had on the channel early this morning. Thanks for passing the torch over to us. My name is VooDoo Val, and I'm going to be your host for this awesome hand lettering segment. And I'm joined here today by my new friend, Ann Chen. Ann, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Awesome, awesome. I'm super excited to kind of let you introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what we're going to be working on today. But before I jump into that, I would like to pull up the schedule and let you folks at home know what we're going to be doing for the rest of the day after me and Ann take off for the segment. So let me pull this up real quick. We started off the day this morning at 7:30 a.m. with Paul Tranny doing an awesome segment designing face masks, which I thought was awesome. Very, very cool and creative. We just had Kathleen Martin on with the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge welcome stream, which was wonderful. Definitely throughout the day and throughout the coming weeks, check out that Daily Creative Challenge landing page to see what Kathleen is going to be teaching and how you can get involved. Now I am here with Ann Chen, as I said, and we're going to be doing some hand lettering. Right after us is going to be the one and only Andrew Hockrattle doing the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge, followed by Brittany, who's going to be doing workflows and pro tips in Adobe XD. We'll have the XD Daily Creative Challenge with Andrea Hawk at 2 p.m. Pacific time, and then we're going to end the day with a nice, calming, soothing stream from Alice Lee, who will be doing a little bit of doodle therapy. So I'm very excited for all of the stuff we have planned for today, but what I would really like to hear about is what you're going to be doing today, Ann. Why don't you kind of introduce yourself, tell everybody a little bit about you, the kind of work that you do, and what we're going to get into today.
Okay. Yeah, so I am a lettering artist and illustrator based in Salt Lake City, Utah. I studied graphic design in school, and I worked as a graphic designer for about 5 years.
Awesome.
And then last March, I decided to pursue freelance full-time to focus on commercial illustration and murals.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I am today. And what I'll be doing for everyone today is I thought it'd be fun to letter names of chat participants. And how I started lettering was actually through a project for my BFA in where I focused on lettering names of friends and family. So that's how I got started in lettering.
Mm-hmm.
So today I'm kind of like going back to my roots and just lettering people's names.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, I'm really excited about that, and I think that's super cool. Just for those of you who are in chat, that means that some of you folks have the opportunity to basically get featured on today's stream. So she'll be kind of choosing some of you folks and kind of letting the artistic vibes flow with some of your names. I'm pretty pumped about that. So yeah, I guess you can go ahead and get started and just select somebody. Anne, who wants to get their name lettered? Folks in chat, who's excited about that?
Let's see. I thought I would maybe try to go down like the alphabet.
Okay.
Let's see if there are anybody's names that start with the letter A in the chat.
Let's see.
I'm gonna scroll up.
There's an Andrew in the chat that I see.
Andrew?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start with Andrew.
Awesome.
Okay.
Congrats, Andrew.
Let's see. Yeah, Andrew, maybe tell us a little bit about yourself in chat if you're still around.
Yeah. Let's hear about you, Andrew. Are you interested in watching art and people create? Are you an artist yourself? If so, what sort of work do you do? What sort of art do you make? I'm curious to know. Erick says, hey, Ann, love your work. Lewis is saying hello. Alice Lee is in the chat. Hello, Alice. It's good to see you, my friend.
I know Alice.
She is so wonderful, isn't she?
Thank you.
Alejandro is here. D. Ross is here. It's good to see all of you folks. I actually have a question for you, Ann. You said that you recently decided that you were going to change to like a full-time freelance pursuit of this sort of work. What was that transition like for you? Did you kind of just go for it, or did you have a plan for how you were going to find clients and find work in a new space?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I started freelancing just a little bit while I was already working at a full-time job. And at that time I was feeling a little dissatisfied with what I was doing. I really wanted to pursue so when I decided to do that, it was actually quite a hard decision to make personally, as you know, it's hard to leave like a full-time with a stable income. And
oh yeah.
But I really wanted to push myself and see what I can do in freelance. So when I left my job, I decided that I really wanted to focus on murals. And so before I even left my job, I had a couple of murals in my portfolio. So that was a good way to get started, to have examples to show possible clients.
Nice.
And after that, I just promoted a lot about murals on Instagram, and that's how I got some of my gigs. And still today, a lot of it is through social media.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I imagine that is so when you do murals, because I'm not a mural artist, I never have been, I probably never will be. I mean, when I freelance, I get a lot of clients on social media and, you know, through Behance or through my website or from, you know, through word of mouth and so on. But everything I do, I can create a file and then send that file to my client digitally. But with a mural, I imagine you'd have to be on site to paint the wall. So do you do all of that in person, or do you create work and then send it to a company to wrap a wall? Or, you know, do you find all of your clients like pretty locally, or do you fly out on site when you do things like that? How does that work?
Most of my mural clients so far have been local, and I don't think I did do one mural that was vinyl based, but for the most part, I do hand paint. And what happens is I will visit the site in person, take pictures of the wall, so that I can mock up my design on the wall, so that the clients would have a good idea of what the result will actually look like.
That's a great idea. That's awesome. Okay. Let's see. Yes, Muskan, we are using Adobe Fresco. This is the iPad app for drawing and painting that Adobe has, and it is free. You can totally go to the App Store and download it and try it out if you like. Fresco, I'm somebody who I use Photoshop religiously. I've always used it for everything that I do, even when I'm doing graphic design and editorial design and packaging design and everything. And since I've started using Fresco, it's actually become 50% of my workflow because it is so intuitive and it's so easy to use and it's so comfortable. By the way, I love the brush that you are using right now, Ann. This is so cool.
Thank you. This is Kyle Webster's Letters brush from his collection. It's called the Fat Impressionist. It's different colored speckles.
Yeah, it almost looks like gold leaf.
Yeah.
That is so cool. Andrew says, so this is Andrew whose name you are lettering right now. He says, "Hi, I run a design agency and I am a photographer and blogger. I paint with light in my photography, but also been getting into fresco, which is amazing." That is awesome, Andrew. That's wonderful.
Very cool.
Yes, Cody actually added the link to Ann's Behance. You guys can totally give her a follow on Behance and check out all of her other work. If you want, I am a huge fan of Ann's work, and I have seen many of her pieces, and they're all fabulous, so definitely check that out. Another A name in the chat, Mr. Anthony Jackson, says, "Yes, this is an awesome brush," and I agree, Anthony. Let's see. Brushes from Kyle are like Madden shoes. Everyone should own a pair. Jennifer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has a ton of different collections, and let's see, my favorite ones are, he has this copier collection, and they have some like really cool like textures in them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love his, like, it's almost, I mean, I know that they're probably not all chalk and pastel, but that's what it looks like in my head, and those are some of my favorite kind of brushes to use personally, like anything that looks like it has like a chalky texture to it. I just
kind
love
of a
it.
rough texture, yeah. Yeah, I like those too. When it's too like round and smooth, I don't know why, but it just feels really like too perfect to me. Like I need it to feel like a real tool that I'm using.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've said this before, it's always funny to me how artists seem to favor certain kinds of brushes, when in reality many of us are using the exact same tool, like the same stylus, the same everything, and yet our tools can feel different depending on what texture the digital brush has, which is funny. Yeah, Belinda also agrees his texture brushes are amazing. So does Andrew and Donna and Cody. I think we're all in a general the general consensus is that Kyle is awesome and so are his brushes.
Great. Hi, Belinda. Let's see. Oh, there are so many people I know on here. Thank you, guys.
Let's see. And oh, cool. Andrew also posted his Instagram. So yeah, folks, give Andrew a follow on Instagram. This is so cool that we get to, like we get to come in here and we get to meet Ann Chen and ask her about her work and about her journey, but then we also get like a little introduction to folks you might not know in chat. This is really cool. Alice Lee says, on the topic of digital brushes, what are some of your favorite analog tools to draw and paint with at the moment? Question for both Val and Anne. So just favorite brushes, like digital brushes in general, you mean, Alice?
I think she means analog tools, right?
Oh, just like traditional tools?
Yeah.
I don't do a lot of traditional work anymore, because especially now that I have my iPad, and I can kind of sketch and paint anywhere, like I would in a sketchbook. I don't really do that, but when I do use traditional art tools, I actually like to sculpt with clay. So that's typically what I'm doing. Yeah, I like to get those vinyl figurines, the the Money World figurines. It's just like they're like plain white vinyl creatures or characters that just have like the big heads, and you can get some of them that are shaped like a man, or you can get one that's shaped like a girl, or you can get one that's shaped like a horse or a cow or whatever, and they're just blank. And I like to sculpt on them with Sculpey to kind of change the form a little bit, and then I bake them in the oven to harden the clay, and then I paint on them with acrylic paints. What about you?
Oh, wow. Let's see. I like to use the Posca markers, the acrylic ones.
Ooh.
To do lettering on just like cardboard. And then other than that, yeah, I don't really work with a lot of traditional tools. Before I got an iPad, I was just doing lettering using like tools and tracing pads, and that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm.
So now with the iPad, like you can use all these really cool brushes, and so that's been really convenient. But yeah, I would really like to get into, I don't know if I'm saying this word right, but gouache.
Yeah. Same. I also would love to get into gouache.
It looks really cool, and the colors are so vibrant.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people use that type of paint on Instagram, and definitely like to get into that.
And the funny thing about gouache is that it always looks... This is gonna sound weird, but gouache always looks tasty to me. Like it looks like frosting or something sometimes, and every time I see it, it kind of makes me hungry. But I'm sorry I cut you off. What were you saying there?
Oh, no worries. I was just gonna say I'm ready to pick another name. Let's see.
Yeah. Are you still going through the alphabet? Somebody with a B name?
Somebody with a B name. So far I see Belinda, who I know. I think she might be the only one with a B name in here.
Yeah, I'll scroll through a little bit.
Anyone else with a B name?
We can give it a couple minutes or a couple moments, because we might have a lurker in chat who hasn't said anything yet with a B name that might speak up for a chance to have their name lettered. In the meantime, I would like to point out that some of you folks watching in the chat today may be over on the YouTube channel, and if you are over there and you're wondering, what the heck, why is nobody answering my questions? Well, it's because we are actually watching the Behance channel for our chat. So if you have not already, please head over to behance.net/live, because that is where I'm seeing the chat. That's where Ann is seeing the chat. This is where you can get all of the resources and things that are posted throughout the stream, and also where you need to be if you'd like to get selected to have your name lettered. So definitely head over here. Let's see. Yeah, Cody Bear says gouache is delicious. It is. It is so delicious. I've seen people do those paintings where they kind of just like cake it on, and it's super thick, and they do like flower petals with a palette knife, and I'm like, oh, wow. I would love to do this. I am so far only seeing Belinda as the B name, so we might go for Belinda.
Let's go for that. So Belinda, I know you. She is also a fantastic lettering artist, based in Chicago, I think. So Belinda, if you're still here, you can tell us a little bit about yourself in chat. And I'll actually start, for this one, I want to do the multicolor feature. So for those of you who don't know, the multicolor is like you can like create your own brushes with like multiple colors in them.
Wonderful.
Let me try demonstrating that. Let's see. Okay, I'm just gonna do...
Belinda says, what an honor. Yes, welcome, Belinda. Tell us about yourself. Oops. Sorry about that, folks. Had a window pop up over the top of our overlay here, but it is clear now. Also, later in the stream, this is from Cody Bear, we will be doing portfolio reviews. Yes, indeed. Post your Behance links to the hashtag portfolio reviews channel in the Photoshop Discord for a chance to be featured. Yes. So all of you folks, if you're looking for some feedback on your work, and things, please share your Behance portfolios or your Adobe portfolios with us in the Discord. We got a link there from Cody Bear so that you folks can navigate to the proper area. And towards the last 30 minutes of the stream, Ann and I are going to pull up those portfolios and we're gonna check out what you folks have posted. We'll be going over 2 portfolios because that is what we will have the time for. We're going to offer some feedback on the work and the general presentation of a portfolio, and just share some knowledge with the community and help some of you folks improve. And I really love the portfolio reviews because I always feel like I've never had my portfolio reviewed on Adobe Live, but when I listen to other people getting their portfolios reviewed, it always helps me anyways, you know, just listening to general advice and things. So it's a very cool process. It's super helpful. Alrighty. If Instagram is your thing, oh, there's a link to Belinda's Instagram. Thank you so much, Belinda. I appreciate it. We'll definitely check that out and give you a follow. Belinda says, hi, yes, I am a lettering artist and illustrator based in Chicago. I went full-time freelance back in June and draw a lot of my inspiration from yummy foods and beverages. That sounds amazing. Speaking of, we were just even going over how gouache is delicious. This sounds like just a stream of tasty art in general.
Yeah, Belinda, she does a ton of really cool illustrations with like food imageries that wrap around the lettering. So it's really cool. Definitely check out her work. Okay, so I have a multicolor, I want to say color palette right here that I'm going to use to color in Belinda's name with the, let's see, a different brush. Let me try the hard round brush, see how that looks.
Oh, how cool is that?
Okay, so you can see that it's like a rainbow brush.
Can you zoom in just a little bit so we can see the detail on it too? I mean, you can wait till after you know, do the bee, but oh, how cool.
So yeah, the multicolor feature is really cool.
That's awesome. I'm gonna have to try that. I'm gonna have to do that. So you just made like a bunch of dots and things to sample from, and then added that as the color for the brush. That is so cool.
Yeah, I saw Kyle Webster do a little tutorial on how to make that happen in Adobe Fresco the other day, so I thought it'd be really fun to use it to draw people's names.
Yeah, I love that. I'm gonna have to do that myself now. Steve says, cursive. I remember in public school learning cursive, and I was convinced the teacher was tricking us because I thought G and Q were the same. Oh yeah, it's just the little loop is on the opposite side.
They're very similar for sure. Okay, let's move on to a third name.
Yeah, we need a C name. Let's see. We've got Cody Bear. We've got Clever Devlin. Who else do we have? Who else is a C name? Might just be Cody and Clever that I see.
Clever. See.
Oh, there's a Christopher as well. I'm scrolling through.
Alright, I am going to letter Clever.
Awesome. Yeah, I really like that name. I think that's super cool.
Very cool name.
I'm wondering if is Clever your name, or is Clever your username? Because maybe Devlin is your name, and then your username is just Clever Devlin. I think either is super cool, but I think Clever as a first name is pretty unique. Nickname, awesome. That's a pretty cool nickname. As for me, my mother named me VooDoo first, and that's why they call me VooDoo Val. It's totally my legal first name. My middle name is also Danger.
Oh, cool.
It's VooDoo Danger Val. That's what I'm called.
Oh, wow.
No, I'm just, and it's like, wow, that's so unique. This is so cool.
Okay, Clever.
Oh, I got you, Clever. Cool.
Clever,
Oh, I like that one too.
Clever,
Ooh.
ah.
Those E's get me. Those are so cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I really like drawing my E's that way. And I like when you have like a letter L, you can always put a letter, kind of put it on top of the L. I think that's a really cool composition.
Yeah, like a little shelf, just kind of nestle it in there.
Mhm.
Very cool, very cool. Yes, Clever. Every time I make that joke, or I hear somebody else make that joke, I do hear the Danger Zone in my head. That song comes up, and I think it's very fitting. There's people singing Danger Zone in the chat. This is great.
No. What's the Danger Zone song?
Have you heard that? It's like an older like rock song. It's the one that's like Highway to the Danger Zone. You ever heard that song?
Okay.
You're like, no.
Maybe on the radio, but I'm not familiar with it. Sorry.
It's okay. You guys just got serenaded with the Danger Zone. Everybody gets one. Everybody gets one Danger Serenade. That's it. That's all I'll do for today. But tomorrow's a new day. You never know. Oh man, this brush is so cool. I'm gonna have to do some hand lettering later today. It's decided. Like, this is all this texture and stuff is just so inspiring. I'm gonna have to sit down and do this. And I'm gonna have to do that multicolor brush. Like, it's happening. How many folks in chat are gonna try the multicolor brush now? After seeing Ann do this. This is great. I need VooDoo Val singing that song as my ringtone. No, Alberto.
Yeah, if you guys need more tips on the multicolor, definitely check out Kyle Webster's Instagram. He has like a little IGTV video on how to make the brush out of the multicolors.
Nice.
But all you really do is just like a blob of colors, and then you just hold on the color.
Mm-hmm.
Just like with your finger, and you have to press on like the little circle at the end of the Fresco app. I'm not quite sure what that circle is called. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the little clear circle there. I used to know what it's called, but I've heard so many people call it different things that now I don't know what the real name for it is. Speaking of like IGTV and stuff like that, what is the social media that you use most often to connect with the community, and do you use IGTV at all?
I have not used IGTV, but I am very active on Instagram.
Nice.
I'm also on Behance, and then other than that, yeah, those are really the only two places that I share my work.
Nice.
Um, I know in the past, I used to be, this is like, I don't know if you remember or use this website, but DeviantArt used to be really popular.
I used to be on DeviantArt. I think I still have an
Yeah.
account there with like tons of my old work floating around on it. Um, but I haven't logged
Same.
into it in like 8 years. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
just sitting there with work that I forgot about. Um, yeah, I think for me, I was not really. This is gonna make me sound old, but I was not hip to the ways of Instagram for a long time. I just recently started using IGTV, and I have to say it's been a
Oh.
very interesting experience. Um, and it's cool. I mean, if you ever want to try it, I have found in my experience just using it for a short amount of time, it's kind of neat because there's that whole thing where like you can't really post links on Instagram unless you have enough followers to like do special stuff with your posts.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually pretty convenient. I also was not using Instagram stories at all until maybe a couple of months ago, and I started doing that too. And I found that that also um, was very interesting because some of the more like announcement, like promo type posts that I have to do sometimes get a lot more traction and a lot more eyes on them when it's sitting at the top as a Instagram story to read rather than just going in as a post that doesn't really look or
Right.
match any of my art. So it's been kind of an adventure learning more about Instagram, and it's definitely turning into one of my favorite social media outlets.
Yeah, I really enjoy using Instagram. I've met a lot of um, friends, lettering friends on there,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's just a really cool way to connect with the lettering community.
Yeah, definitely. I also like because I like using. I think my top social media that I use are Twitter and Instagram. And it's weird because I really like Instagram for like being able just to see a collection of somebody's work. Because I can go and I can look through and see what's going on in their portfolio and see basically what they're about, Um, and then Twitter, though, I found is much easier for me to communicate because I don't know about you, but sometimes when people send me messages on Instagram, I don't even know that they're there until like a month later because it's such a weird process to get to the messages on Instagram. So I almost wish that they would merge because like Twitter is so easy for me to communicate with people because it's just like having a conversation is like the forefront of that site. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so it's weird. I almost wish there was like a combination of the two of them that would be better for me, I think, because when you go to Twitter and you try to look at somebody's art, unless their entire page is dedicated solely to showcasing their paintings or their hand lettering or their whatever it is that they do, even looking through the little images in the top right corner doesn't always show you a collection of work because it also has like all of their reaction gifs and all of their weird memes that they decided to post in there. So it's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, I haven't used Twitter at all. Um, but I know what you mean about how it's really hard to like find your messages on Instagram. Like they could be hidden, especially if it's a message from someone who you've never interacted with before.
Mm-hmm.
I think Instagram hides the messages and you have to like accept the request from them to in order to see the message in your main inbox.
Yeah,
So
and that's
that's
the thing
why
that's
I
like odd.
always and that's why I always like encourage people to like email me
Mm-hmm.
if they have an actual like client project because I won't be able to see it on a in a timely manner if it's through Instagram messages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I typically I ask people like email me or um send me a tweet, like a public tweet on Twitter, because that goes directly into my notifications that I can easily see like right when I pop open the app. Um, so that is that's a little easier. Yeah, Alberto says, "Yep, you got primary and general requests." And it's weird though because I think the way that the menu system works in Instagram. I'm kind of looking down at my phone here just to pull it up. You have to be on the home page where your main feed of people that you follow, like where their work is, and then you have to go up into the corner and click on the messages, and then you have to scroll through and find if you've got a reply or if you've got a request from somebody, and then you have to accept it. And it's like a lot of steps for me personally. Just to go through and try and get to a message. And at this point, when it comes to social media, I'm an old lady anyways, so I have a hard time going through all that. And even though I know where the messages are, I still forget where it's at. So if you like, even just tagging me in a post on Instagram is better, I think, than messaging me there, because I might forget about messages for 2 months and then that's it. And I'm like,
yeah, I
oops.
definitely have opened messages and forget to reply and just never got around to it. So
Yep. And then I'm like, oh no, they must think I'm flaky, and I'm like, no, I'm old. I'm sorry, I don't know how to use technology sometimes. Carla says hello. Welcome in, Carla. It's good to see you. Also, just a quick reminder, in a little over 20 minutes, we are going to be doing portfolio reviews. So if you folks in chat would like a chance to have your portfolio selected for review, we're going to be looking at 2 portfolios from the community during the last 30 minutes of today's stream. We're looking for Behance portfolios or Adobe My Portfolios. And if you just joined the Photoshop Discord, there is a channel in there called #portfolio_reviews on the left-hand side. If you jump in there and post your link to your portfolio, that is where they will be selected from. And Ann and I are going to pull some up and take a look at what we got. We're going to give some feedback on some of your work, on the presentation of your projects, and the presentation of your portfolio in general. So I'm very excited about it. I can't wait to see your work. I think today, Ann, has been kind of a day of getting to know everyone that's in the chat with us, which has been cool. So this is just even cooler that we also have portfolio reviews for the day. There's a link from Cody Bear to the Discord. Thank you so much, Cody. And for those of you who are over on YouTube, again, please come over to behance.net/live, because that is where Ann and I are reading the comments. That's where Ann is snagging new names to hand letter, and where you will need to be if you want the link to the portfolio review info tab and other resources that may be posted throughout the day. Let's see. If you have Facebook and a business account, they will appear in Facebook Messenger. Your Instagram messages do? That's interesting. But I guess it's owned by Facebook now. Instagram is, so maybe I guess that makes sense. Dessi Price. Hi, Ann. So glad I was able to meet you in person during Letter West last year. Love your art. Awesome.
Oh, hi, Dessi.
Welcome in. Let's see.
Well, I'm ready for a D name, I think. A, B, C, D. Yes. How about we just letter Desi's name?
Yeah, that sounds good to me. That's perfect. Congrats, Dessi. And in the meantime, while Ann is lettering your name, why don't you tell chat a little bit about you and what you do, and let us know if you have like an Instagram, or if you've got your Behance filled with art or something, so that we can check out any work that you do. Tell us all about you. WhatsApp and Instagram are owned by Facebook, Alberto says. Oh, okay, I didn't know that. I don't use WhatsApp either. There's so many apps out there for communication nowadays, and I just don't have the patience for all of them. There's so many things going. Dessi says, yay! All right. Before I moved here, I didn't know how many different kinds of wool there are. Merino wool is so nice. Where did you move to, Steve? I'm curious to know about all the different kinds of wool where you live. I'm allergic to wool, so I don't get to experience all the awesome garments that can be made with it, but I have seen so many videos of people making awesome things with colored wool, and I think it's super cool. There's a lot of really awesome art that people make with wool and like felt and things like that I just think are so neat. Oh, New Zealand! That's right, you mentioned that, from New Zealand. That's so cool. I have never been to New Zealand, but I would love to go. As a Lord of the Rings fan, I think I'm required to want to visit New Zealand at least once. Merino wool is so finely woven and keeps you toasty warm with just a thin layer of it, not itchy at all. That sounds amazing.
Is that what the airbird, or is that what I called? Those shoes? What is that called?
Oh, I don't know, but I think I know what you're
on
talking
it.
about, but I don't know what it's called. Steve says, "I'm really an orc." Yes, if you're from New Zealand, in my mind, you've got to be somebody from the Lord of the Rings. That's how it works, right?
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you move there, you become an elf. I thought that's how it went. Dessi says, "I'm an art director and graphic designer who got into lettering 2 years ago through an online challenge by Home Sweet Home. And got to follow Ann's work on Instagram. My Insta is Dessi005. Awesome! Yeah, everybody give Dessi a follow on Instagram. Oh, I love the strokes and extra little tiny negative space lines that you have in Desi's name right now.
Thank you.
It's really, really cool. I mean, I know that you're using a small brush and you're doing a lot of tiny strokes to form these letters, but if I wasn't watching you create this right now, I would have thought you maybe did it with a huge paintbrush or something, because it has that nice texture in between the grooves there.
Yeah, a lot of times I use a really fine brush to make sure my lines are straight.
Do you ever use any guides or anything for your hand lettering, or do you always do it like more free form and just kind of go for it?
It depends on what kind of composition I'm going for.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm doing something that's just for fun, then I usually am just free-forming. I do not use guides.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's for like a client project where the design is more refined,
Mm-hmm.
then I'll have guidelines for my lettering. For example, I could have used like a guideline for Belinda to make sure all my letters are sitting on the same baseline.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, yeah, I don't use guidelines. I really enjoy just being like experimental and having my letters look a little more playful and loose.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome, though. That's really cool. I think it gives it like I mean, not that using guides or not using guides is right or wrong, but I think that when you're not using them and you're kind of just going for it, it gives it like a really interesting organic feel. That, like you said, yeah, is very fun and very playful. It has a lot of personality, so I love that.
Thank you. Yeah, I am drawn to more of that playful, loose look.
Nice.
But I'll also do some more refined and elegant script, but
very cool.
most part. Oh,
I
go
also
ahead.
have a question for you. I was wondering what other like hand letterers and artists kind of inspire you to do your work. Like what artists are you drawn to, and do you have any artists that you might like to share who kind of motivated you to create over the years?
Yeah, definitely some of my lettering idols are um, Lauren Hom, she's really amazing, and Jessica Hish.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's see, I really like the work from Tad Carpenter. He's an illustrator in Kansas City, and he does like his work has like they're very, what's the word? They have like some textures in them, so when I do my lettering, I always try to like have a little bit of texture.
Nice.
Let's see, who else do I really enjoy? There are a lot of lettering artists in Utah where I'm at who are really inspiring to me, like Becca Clayson and Jill DeHaan. They've both been on Adobe Live, I think, a couple years ago, and Becca does like tactile typography with food and different objects.
Oh yeah, I think I remember that stream actually. I think I
Yeah.
was moderating for that, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was in
Very
the
cool.
chat keeping the peace for that stream.
Yeah, so those are some artists that I really enjoy following, and I try to follow like illustrators who don't do lettering as well, just because I also want to get more into illustrating like people and objects and combine that with my lettering. So try to kind of look for inspiration that's outside of just lettering.
Awesome. When it comes to illustrating things outside of lettering, would you say like illustrating people is one of the things that you gravitate towards more, or do you have any other things that come to mind as like favorites that you would like to do more of?
I have drawn figures in the past, but I think I really just want to draw more animals.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I like cats, so sometimes I'll have cats in my work, but yeah, I need to get more into drawing just like everyday objects. I think it's really fun. But yeah, I
that sounds
actually
awesome.
came from an illustration background, but ever since I started doing lettering, I feel like I haven't done anything else other than focusing on learning like new ways to draw certain letters. But yeah, I used to, like when I was little, I loved drawing like anime figures and
Same.
Mhm.
Same. I grew up watching a lot of different animes, and so that was like my go-to thing. Every time I was like, I'm gonna do some art, I was like, welp, time to paint Inuyasha again. Time to do this for like the 5th time this week. That was what I was doing all the time.
So fun. Yeah, I used to like try to come up with my own characters, anime characters, and so that was like why I was on DeviantArt a lot, because that was like a huge community for anime.
Oh yeah. Still is, I think. But I haven't adventured into that realm in a long time.
Same here. Okay, do we have time for more letter links?
We have 10 minutes until we do portfolio reviews, so if you can do one real quick in 10 minutes, and then I will also make sure that we have a little bit of time after portfolio reviews to tie things up, so I think you could probably go for it.
Awesome. Okay, let's see. Our next name would be
E, I believe, right?
E.
Do we have any E names? We have Erick Sue in chat.
Erick.
And let me scroll through and see if we can find another one. Erick might be our only E name.
Cool. Yeah, I'll go ahead and start on Erick's name.
Okay.
Hi, Erick, if you're still tuning in. Let's see. Is this Erick spelled with CK, right?
Yes. Jennifer says, I was horrible at drawing people, so I wrote stories. I was kind of the same way. When I first started doing art, I've been like writing stories, long before I started painting and drawing regularly. But I wrote stories, and then eventually I just got really, really fed up not being able to draw the original characters that I wrote about. So I was just like, all right, it's time to sit down and really put the pedal to the metal here. I gotta figure out how to draw these characters I want to draw. So that's kind of what, like, one of the many things that kind of gave me the kick in the pants that I needed to get a little bit better at it, because I was like, I have to draw this weird elf girl that I made up in my head. And she's only gonna look good if I get better, so I have to do this.
That is very interesting. Because for me, when I was like making up my own anime characters, I never really thought much about like their storylines.
Really?
Yeah, I like focused a lot more on like what they're wearing and what their hairstyle is like, but I did not dive into their origin story or anything like that.
Yeah, I used to just like write all kinds of crazy stories. I remember being like obsessed with the Lord of the Rings when I was a kid. And I remember the movie came out when I was in like the 3rd or 4th grade. And I remember after I watched that film, I was like, I don't care what anybody says, when I grow up, I'm gonna be Legolas. And and then I had to I'd made up a bunch of elf characters, and I was like, well, I gotta draw these, and they were like not good drawings by any stretch of the word, or at all. And then I just as I got older, I still liked that sort of stuff, and I was like, well, it seems like this is gonna be like a thing with me through adulthood, so I guess I better. I guess if I'm gonna keep writing weird characters, then I gotta get a little better at drawing them, if that's what I'm gonna do. Lizzie says, and then you dress up as an elf girl. I do. I'm that kind of weird. I love going to conventions and wearing my elf ears, and I believe I painted myself purple on Adobe Live one time. They let me get away with that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Pretty fun time. Hi, Ann. I'm lucky to see Ann's lettering all over Salt Lake City. This from Johnny Mon. Welcome in, Johnny. Is Johnny someone you know?
Let me scroll to... I'm not sure if I know Johnny personally, but thank you for being here.
Alicia also jumping in the chat saying, hey, what's going on, Alicia?
Hi, Alicia.
An awesome username in the chat, Snowman Labs. Welcome in, Snowman Labs. I'm curious to know what you do. Do you design only with snow, or is that not exclusive? And it was awesome. Well, thank you, Lindsay. I appreciate it. I love what you're doing here with the kind of using the same method for Erick's name, Anne, as you did with Clever, but taking it in a different direction. In fact, I think that's definitely something I might try from now on to get that type of lettering going in, because I don't do a lot of hand lettering, but every once in a while I find myself needing to paint some letters when I don't find a font that works for me, or when I just need something to look like it was handwritten for whatever reason in a painting. And I always find that I just do the lines around, but this really helps give it substance and form pretty quickly and pretty accurately, actually. So I think I'm definitely going to try this.
Yeah, this is a method that I use a lot in my lettering. Maybe I'll demonstrate it again. Let's see. So what I typically do is, for example, if I'm lettering the word Lindsay, so I'll just draw it out with a pencil brush. Let's see, Lindsay spelled with an E or an A? Okay.
An A for Lindsay, but I think it can be either way sometimes.
So then I will dim that layer and create a new layer on top. And then what I do is just draw at an angle. And so when I'm following my line work, it just automatically like creates the fat and thins of the lettering for me. So it's kind of like that calligraphic style.
Yeah, that is so cool.
So
and I would never have thought to do that.
Yeah, I think it's really easy to pick up on.
And it's cool because it's like such a life hack, you know, like where you just, it's like I said, I would never have thought to do it this way myself, but now that I've seen you do it, it makes so much sense. And it's just kind of one of those tips that goes with like the working smart, you know, mentality. Is just like, this is a really great way to get that in there, and then you've got it all lined out and you can kind of take it whichever direction you decide you want to go for the project. This is really cool. A Villa says good morning. Good morning, A Villa. Sorry to cut you off there. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. Yeah, and after that, I usually just start outlining the contours with the finer brush. But this is pretty much how I approached a lot of my lettering, is through this technique.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, and I like to, you know, because you did it for two different names in two different ways, it opens up so many possibilities. So, I mean, if you wanted to, you could use that outline as a base to do some really refined, like, heavy calligraphy looking hand lettering if you wanted, or you could leave it loose and chalky and cool. So I think it's something that maybe all of us in chat, if we decide we want to do some hand lettering, it's a method we can all use and go our own ways with a project.
Yeah, definitely.
Justin says, hi, VooDoo and Ann. Welcome in, Justin. It's good to see you.
Hi, Justin.
Danielle says, oh my gosh, I've been learning how to better fit in my head, and this is an awesome hack. Yes, Danielle, I agree. Also, we got about 2 minutes left until portfolio reviews, so if you folks have not already, please get those portfolios in, because we are going to go over a couple of them in just a few minutes. And then, Anne, I believe I sent you a link so that you can pull them up. I can pull them up on the stream on my computer so that you don't have to undo your iPad capture. And then you can pull it up however is easiest for you and follow along, and we can kind of look at the same time. Let me see. Yeah, we got about 30 seconds here, so I'm going to transition, and then I will make sure we have a few minutes at the end, so we can say goodbye properly, kind of talk about where everybody can find you, and do a little recap of all the wonderful names that you have done today. So let me park it over here. Boom. So the first portfolio that we have for today is, let me grab this real quick. I'm gonna hide this little fancy frame. There we go. So the first portfolio we have today is going to be from Christopher. Okay. I'll wait a few moments if you want to pull them up for yourself. They can see my screen right now, but they can't see yours, so feel free to maneuver however is most comfortable for you, Anne. And Danielle says, man, I need to create my portfolio. Yeah, this is a really great opportunity, I think, for you folks in the chat to get some feedback on your work. And not only feedback on just like the quality of your work, but also feedback on how you present your portfolio. I think that's something that not a lot of people think about when they're posting their art, because they're just thinking about kind of getting the art up there. But presentation is also so much of what goes into getting a job sometimes. Because you can be creating like the greatest work in the world, but if nobody understands how to view what you're showing off, then it's I don't want to say it's all for naught, but it's like the presentation is very important. So can you see the portfolios yet, Anne?
Yes,
okay,
I have
perfect.
Christopher's open up on Behance.
Wonderful. So I am going to, one thing that I like to do whenever we do these portfolio reviews first is I love that right off the bat we have Christopher's name, a little icon of what I assume is his face, and then just a little tagline, professional illustrator with experience in 4 other fields, and then another link where you can learn more about him. I think that's pretty great. It's very short, sweet, to the point. We know who you are, we know what you do, we know what we can expect. Do you see any projects in here that you would like to go over specifically, Anne? Anything that jumps out at you that you'd like to take a closer look at?
Let's jump into the first Hearthstone card mock-up.
The Korgan?
Yes.
Awesome. I'm a big Hearthstone fan too, by the way, so this is cool.
I don't know too much about it. I have played it like a couple times because my husband is into Hearthstone.
Nice.
But I am not super familiar with it, but I do know what it is.
Awesome. Yeah, I played Hearthstone for like 3 years straight. That's like before I was streaming art, I was just streaming Hearthstone, and I love this game.
That's cool.
This is really cool. It looks like at the bottom there's like a I assume this might be like a time lapse in Fresco of the creation. Oh, how neat.
Yeah, I really like all these behind the scenes images, like the sketch and how he adds more detail. That's really cool.
Yeah. I'm gonna say something. This is something that I kind of say to a lot of different people when I look through a portfolio, and I think it's important for me to note that some of this could also be like personal preference, but when I'm scrolling through a project, and I believe I even said this last week, when I'm scrolling through a project, I find that there's like a bunch of different versions and iterations for me to view, all lined up and full size. I sometimes always wish there was like the full version of the piece right up front to show me what it is, and then instead of having all of the pieces lined up where you're scrolling through the project to see everything, I sometimes wish it was in more of a gallery collage. So if I decide I want to look at some of the early sketches, I can click on them and full screen them, instead of having them there where I have no choice but to look through all the iterations. I don't know how you feel about that, but that's like when I'm browsing a lot of work, that's typically how I like to view things. What do you think?
I think that's definitely good advice. You want your final art to be the focus and have, the sketches and the process images be a little bit smaller, so it's just easy to glance through, and then have your final art to really capture your viewer.
Yeah. I would say, like, if you're doing, and it looks like you might have been doing a few of these Hearthstone cards, I would say it would even be cool because you have the card here, the Korgan card mocked up here that looks really great. I would say it would even be cool to make like the header of the card projects have like the main piece of artwork for the card, and then maybe there's like some extra background on the side where you can also put the card on that panel too, kind of like how some UI UX designers mock up like a mock-up for an app. Like they have the website in the back that's like the banner, and then they have the app version right there on a cell phone mock-up. You know, you could do that with your painting and then your card on the side so they can see it, and then underneath have like 4 or 5 tiles of the iterations where I can be like, ooh, you know, I'll click in to these and see what's going on. But I think, I mean, I don't really have any critique for the work itself, though.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's very,
so
very
detailed and beautiful. I like the little highlights, the blue highlights is really cool.
Very atmospheric, for sure. And getting to see that video that you posted and watching the process that you had on, like, even, I mean, obviously the main Korrigan character is awesome, but the detail and the time and effort you put into just illustrating the castle in the back also was really awesome, so kudos to you for that. Maybe we can jump into another one real quick and see what else he has got. Do you have another one that jumps out that you'd like to take a look at?
Let me scroll through. So there's one towards the bottom that says Triceratops.
Oh my gosh, yeah, the
the chair that's like the dinosaur. That's
oh my
funny.
gosh.
That's really cool.
This is amazing.
I appreciate the pun.
Yes, Triceratops. So I don't know why you made this. I mean, I don't really see any context. I think maybe that would be like my critique, is that I would love a little bit of context for why you decided to do this. Even if that context is just, I wanted to make something weird and wacky and I decided to turn a dinosaur into a chair. Like, that's fine. But I would love to know more about the thought process behind this. This is fabulous.
Yeah, same here. I think it's just really cool, but definitely have like a description of why, and yeah.
Yeah, this is so neat. I love too that it's not like a regular colored Triceratops either. It's really got its own vibe going. Like, this is like a very eccentric Triceratops. This is super like a pop of color. I love it.
And you can see kind of where the mouth is.
Yeah.
With like the leaves poking out of the mouth. That's really fun.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that when it came to the design of this, there was a lot of thought that went into not just texturing a chair like a dinosaur, but you really thought about the functionality of this. If a Triceratops can be something that functions properly, you know, but you really put in the mouth, you put in like the legs and the tail. You really used aspects of the dinosaur to, like, in a way that you might actually accent a chair. And it's just very well thought out and very well planned. So this is really cool. I would just say more context, and maybe the same thing as last time, where I want to see all. I mean, this isn't so bad because it's only 3 images. But I want to see the iterations, and I like to see like almost like a little appetizer platter of all the different iterations to choose from, and then I'll sample which ones I'd like to look at. But again, that could be personal preference. Do you have anything to add, Anne?
No.
Awesome.
No, I think this is really cool.
I want a Triceratops figurine is what I want. That's what I would just sit on my desk.
Like a 3D model of it.
Yes, a little awesome. 3D printed Triceratops. All right, anything? I think we could probably look at one more and then jump to the next one.
Okay. Let's see. How about we go into personal project character design? That's a
Let's
few
see.
rows below the triceratops.
All right.
It's got this figure with like the long hair.
Let me see. I'm looking for it. Oh, let's see. I see personal project character design, and it's got, yeah, like the, almost looks like a robot with like, is it the robot one, or does he have more?
Yeah, the robot.
Oh, yeah, with
the
and the red and green.
Uh-huh.
Awesome. Okay, yeah, let's check this out. This is cool. Wow.
So right off the bat, same thing. Would love some context about what is this character?
Yeah. Let's see. I do love all of the development. But
and
again,
there's a back view of it too.
Yeah, that's a lot of detail. This is a very intricate character. This is a lot of time and energy that you put into designing this. And I feel like because you have put so much time and energy into creating this character, I feel like it definitely needs the context to like really showcase everything that you've done, you know? But I think I really just have the same feedback. Like, I don't really have any critique on the work because I think you really got your own style going, but just like context and maybe think about formatting the projects differently. But what do you think, Anne?
Yeah, I just want to know, what is this character's name? What are their powers? So just a little description to tell us a little more about this figure.
Yeah, for sure. That's beautiful though. That's really, really awesome.
Definitely beautiful.
All right, let's switch to our second portfolio. But first, like, congratulations, Chris. Your work is fabulous. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Everyone, please give Christopher a follow. And thank you. Thanks again for sharing. I'm gonna switch over to Olya Yakovets. I hope I didn't butcher that name, but I'm very excited for this. I think right off the bat, this is a pretty minimalist approach to the bio section. It just says freelancer, and then the location. I think, and sometimes there's also like a this person is definitely like more of an international artist. I mean, compared to me, because I'm in the US. But sometimes I think that there's also very little in a bio sometimes because maybe somebody does not speak fluent English too.
Right.
But I think that just having like, okay, this is Olya and she's a freelancer, and boom, that's kind of all you need to know. There's a place where you can message her. Personally, I always like a little bit more about people, but I think this works. What do you think?
I think it works quite well. Perhaps, let's see. It looks like your portfolio is mostly design based, but with a little bit of illustrations.
Yeah, maybe if the bio needs to be like short, sweet, and to the point, rather that is because of a language, or because maybe you just really like for it to be as minimalist as possible. I would maybe think about adding just like Illustrator and graphic designer to it, because when I look at this portfolio and I see that you have like the painted icon of yourself, or I assume that that is a painted icon of you, I immediately, before I scroll down and see your work, I assume this is going to be a painting portfolio. That it's only going to be painting and illustration. And then when I scroll down and I see that you have like, looks like 2, maybe 3 illustration type projects, it's not a bad thing, but I am surprised.
Yeah.
What's calling out to you, Anne? What would you like to take a look at first?
I think the girls' digital portraits are really jumping at me.
Yeah, same.
Just because it's so different from the rest of the portfolio.
Oh, wow. Olya,
So
you can
click on that.
paint.
Wow.
Oh, man. Oh, it looks like there's some context here. Welcome. Digital portrait is one of my loves. I draw for myself and for commercial and always have fun with different styles. Yeah, oh my
Nice.
goodness. Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah, these are beautiful.
Yeah, they really are. Jeez. You can paint. You can't just paint. You can paint. This is this is good. This is great. I think because this top. I mean, I love this top painting. I think maybe because the painting is so long, I might have put the context above the painting. And if you wanted to open up with art, I might have made like a kind of banner that says like the title of the project and then put the tagline and then gone into your paintings. But I also love that you did do like, I'm scrolling through a lot of work, but you did put like gallery views. You know, so some of these are side by side so that I'm scrolling through a lot of work because there's a lot of work in the project, but I'm not overwhelmed because I know some of them are grouped together and I'm getting to see more work in less space. What do you think, Anne?
I think I would really like to see like the reference photos and how it compares to the final art.
Yeah.
I think that would be a cool behind the scene look.
Mm-hmm. Maybe
But,
for one of them to have a time lapse or something.
Yeah, or like I see that they are a couple portraits that are in black and white or sepia tone.
Mm-hmm.
Those could be grouped together in the gallery view rather than having to scroll so long to get through it because they're such big images.
Yeah. Yeah, I think too, again, I think this is one where really nothing to critique about the artwork at all. Like, I think even just like you definitely have your style here with like some of the cutouts around the hair and how you have like these shapes kind of framing the characters or just how the lighting is hitting them. Like, I think this is just really, really beautiful. But yeah, I think you're right about some of the presentation in here. And I do notice that there's also more context kind of scattered throughout, so that's cool. It keeps me not only interested in the work, but also reading tidbits throughout, and it's also not so much context that I'm overwhelmed by how much I have to read. So that's really great. Maybe we can pick one more from Olya, and then we will have to start saying goodbye here pretty soon. So which one would you like to take a look at?
Let's take a look at the logo and the card for interior designer project. The 2 business cards.
All right.
Oh,
I like that pattern. I like that pattern on there a lot.
Looks kind of like a pencil maybe with the ribbon on the end.
Yeah, and I can't read it because I believe it looks like it's in Russian to me. But I think that it's cool that there's kind of like a play on letters and imagery there that make this really nice pattern to decorate with. This is very cool. Yeah, I like that. I think it's very clean, and I think that it gets to the point. Like, there's your name, and I assume it's your name and then like the company name and then what the company does, and then on the back side it's just boom boom boom, there's the information you need, and that's it. It's not cluttered at all. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this is a great minimal design for a business card. The only critique is that I would like to see the logo maybe in other formats, like having it maybe on like a window sign, like mocked up as a signage, or on like other stationery products. That would be really cool. Or just like the process of how you got to this logo.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, you know what? Let me see. I think what I did, and I did not realize this until somebody just messaged me. I think I might have preemptively initiated portfolio reviews. That's my bad. So we actually have another 30 minutes. Cody is like running back and forth in the Slack, wondering if I'm going to end the stream. So we actually do have a lot more time for work. My apologies. But yeah, don't worry, Cody. I see your message. Thank you. So yeah, we do actually have more time to check out your work and do some more names after this. So that is awesome. Alrighty. So yeah, that's really great. Maybe since we have a little more time, we'll look at one more project from Olya and then get back to lettering.
Okay. How about we click on the one that says E-Time, the team?
Let's see.
I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but it's right next to the portrait.
Oh, the first one, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's really cool.
Oh, wow. Okay, see, this right here, the way that this is set up, I think this is probably the best presentation I've seen from Olya. I think it's got like a really excellent opening piece of artwork that's not too big that it's overwhelming, that you have to like scroll through it. You can actually view it all like on one screen. And then it has a little very short, sweet, to the point bit of context, and then it goes down into just a beautifully laid out project. What do you think? What kind of stands out to you about this project, Anne?
I really appreciate that she explained what this E-Time company is about as part of the presentation. Overall, I think it's just a really beautiful collection of illustrations. You're obviously very talented, can do lots of different styles.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just interested in maybe some sketches, like the behind the scenes stuff for this project.
Yeah, how it came together and all that stuff, for sure. I also really like that these illustrations are of all of the teammates that work on this project, and then the E-Time illustration at the top that shows is just like a collection of them all together in the same space, and I think that the layout for it is so unique and so cool that I didn't even put that together right away, so it didn't feel like I was scrolling through the same content, because it's lined up differently. They have like the backgrounds and everything. It's like it's the same illustrations, but it doesn't feel like regurgitated work. It felt like it was presented in a new space, like I was getting brand new content as I scrolled through, and that's great. That can be hard to do sometimes. So this is really cool. Is there anything else that you'd like to add, Anne, before we get back into lettering?
No, I just see some like cats in the illustrations, and they're really cute.
Yeah, I see the little one at the bottom too, just kind of hanging out.
There's a cat holding a cell phone.
Yep. I love it. Looks like it's on a leash, and then she's like a cat is going for a walk, and it's got its own phone. It's checking out its own stuff. Awesome.
Very cute.
Very, very well done, Olya. Very well done, Christopher. Thank you guys so much for submitting your portfolio. Sorry about jumping into it a little bit early. But now we have another 30 minutes before we end the stream. So I'm going to switch over here back to your work, Anne. And let me turn on one thing that I need to put back on real quick is our little frame. There we go. But yeah, go ahead and take it away. and I think maybe were we going to choose another name?
Yeah, let's go ahead and choose another name to do from chat.
I think we went to E and then you jumped to L. So should we do what's right after E? Oh, thank you for posting Olya's Behance, Cody. That was wonderful.
Sure. Let's see if there are anyone's name with an F.
Yes. Let's see.
That might be a hard one.
Let's scroll through and see. Is there anyone lurking right now, maybe, whose name starts with an F, that would like to speak up and have a chance to get their name lettered? And also, if you folks are over on YouTube right now, please head over to behance.net/live, because that is where we are reading the chat. So if you've got an F name and you're wondering why no one is seeing you say pick me, it is probably because you're in the wrong chat. So why don't you jump on over and we will see if we can't get your name lettered. Let's see. Yeah, we're not done.
Might be a hard one.
We can always skip too if we absolutely must. Or you could pick a word. You know, it's really up to you. You're the master of this stream. I'm just here to help.
Alright, I think I'll just go ahead and letter Kyra.
It looks like there's somebody named Francis, actually, but I don't know if he's here. But Clever has tagged Francis, so maybe Francis will, if you want to do that or move on, it's up to you, but Francis might get like a little surprise and just show back up from getting a snack and then boom.
VooDoo Val, Clever says.
VooDoo Val? Yeah.
Okay, I think I'll just go ahead and start with Kyra's name.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna scroll through. If anybody has any questions for Ann as well, please let me know. Because while she's working, I can read to her or relate to her any questions. Cody says, Fody Bear. Yes. Let's see. Love this. What a dope stream to pop into. Yeah, welcome in, Vanessa. It's good to see you again. I'm glad that you have come to hang out with us. Yeah, we're choosing names from the chat to letter, and we're kind of got this really awesome, funky collage of names in different styles going, which I just think is super cool. I'm really excited. Like, every time you start a new name, I'm like, okay, what's this one gonna be like?
Yeah, so this one I'm doing more of a block letter style.
Mm-hmm. I love the Y, how the Y just kind of like cradles the K.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, whenever I do a Y or like a G, I like to extend out these lines.
Nice, nice. Now you've used done a lot of different interesting kinds of texture brushes, and you've used like the multicolor brush effects and everything. Do you find that do you ever use the vector brushes and stuff, or do you get into like a lot of the live brushes, or do you typically use like textured standard brushes?
I have not played around with the vector ones, but I do use the live oil brushes a lot.
Awesome.
If I'm doing more like illustrations, I really like the texture of the oil brushes.
Have you ever used the watercolor brushes?
No, I don't know how to do watercolor like in real life, so I'm like intimidated by the watercolor brushes.
I've been trying to practice with it, but for a long time, that's also why like I didn't really use it, because I don't understand how watercolor works.
Yeah,
And it
here.
mimics like real true watercolor so well, apparently, according to other people that use watercolor. And I've seen people use the watercolor brushes here on Adobe Live, and I'm like blown away by how real it looks. But it's made me have to like figure out how to use watercolor because I want to be good at it really bad. But like the first few times I tried to use the watercolor brushes, I was like, what is this? It was so like, because the water moves and the color bleeds and spreads, and I'm used to using digital tools where if I choose a color and I put color down on the canvas, it stays where I put it, you know? And if I decide I'm going to paint over an area that's already got paint on it, that paint covers up whatever is underneath it. But the watercolor brushes, it moves. And after I pick my pen up, after my stylus is not touching the tablet anymore, it's still moving and spreading and bleeding into other pieces of, you know, parts of the water and everything. It's very interesting. And for someone that's not used to that sort of thing, it can almost feel a little bizarre. But it's very fun. It's very, very fun.
Yeah, when it starts bleeding, I kind of freak out because I feel like I want it to stop. I don't know how to control it.
Yeah, I guess you have to get used to controlling the amount of spread by controlling the amount of like water, like quote unquote water, that you're adding to the canvas, because it's that water that allows the color to like travel around the canvas, I think. But it's definitely like a balance you gotta find. Also, Kyra says, question to Ann, do you have any advice to someone like me who's interested in starting freelance as a hand lettering artist but isn't sure if it's right for them?
That is a great question. So Kyra, do you currently have a job in the design space? Like, are you considering to pursue freelance full-time or just starting like freelance on the side? I think that would help me understand a little more.
Oh, like, is the job she already is working creative?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think breaking into freelance work can be really, really interesting. When I started freelancing, I was streaming on Twitch full time when I started doing that. But like before I started kind of jumping into like all the broadcasting stuff, I was working at a grocery store. So I didn't really have a lot of experience like working in a design field at all, and I just kind of had to like learn as I went, you know? Which can be a little bit jarring. I was used to scanning groceries, and then I was like, oh, okay, now I have to learn how to talk to a client. Kyra says, I'm a uni student. I thought about doing it full-time after graduating. What do you think?
I think it's always good to try to have some experience as a designer first before trying to do like freelance. Just because you can learn a lot about like client facing and how to communicate properly and professionally when you have an actual job. I would say it's not impossible, but it's really hard to just like jump into freelance right away after college. It can be really difficult, especially if you don't have like a part-time job lined up. Freelance, even for me when I started, like there'll be the first couple months, like it's really hard to find client work just because you're just starting out and no one really knows about you yet.
Yep.
So I would say definitely try to find a part-time or full-time job in design first. You can always do freelance on the side while you have a part-time job. It doesn't even have to be design related.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just really difficult to freelance if you don't have any savings lined up.
Yes.
That can add to a lot of stress because you still have to pay bills and, you know, buy food and all that stuff, all the daily necessities.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I think I'd like to know, Kyra, how many years do you have left as a student? Because I would say do as Ann says and like line yourself up with at least a part-time job, because yeah, when I quit my job to pursue art and streaming, it was a huge struggle. My parents actually supported me during that time, and they gave me a time limit. They said, after this time limit, if you're not full-time, you have to go find a job because we can't support you that long. So I had like a serious time crunch where I had to like finish or figure out how I was going to make it happen, and luckily I did, but not everybody had like runs into the opportunities to do that. And I think for me, while I was getting started doing the freelancing and not having that financial security of a stable income was one of the worst feelings for me. It gave me a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, a lot of worry for things, until I was like kind of clinging to any possibility of finding work I possibly could. And if you are in a position where you can supplement your income with at least a part-time job, I highly recommend that. And I say, especially if you're a student, line one up to start when you're done with school. And in the meantime, if you can manage it, spend the last bit of time that you have in school trying to build a client base. Because a lot of people, I think, maybe don't take into consideration that, like, just because you say, hi, I'm Kyra, I'm a freelancer, does not mean all of a sudden people want to hire you for stuff.
Right.
It's not the same as going to get a part-time job where you show up for work and your boss tells you, well, you're going to be facing aisles, or you're going to be ringing people up, or you're going to be mopping the floor, or you're going to be doing all of this stuff. As soon as you say you're a freelancer, the jobs do not roll in. You have to kind of put some time into, like, okay, how am I going to get these jobs? How am I going to spread the word about my art and my work? Where is this money going to come from? So if you have time now before you have 1 year left, excellent. I would spend that year, the free time that you have, building a portfolio. And when you build your portfolio, make sure you keep in mind that whatever is in your portfolio, that's, if you get hired, that's what people are going to hire you for whatever's in there. So don't put anything in your portfolio that you don't want to do for the rest of however long you're going to freelance. Because if you drew a spaceship and it's a really good spaceship, but you hate drawing spaceships, and you put that at the forefront of your portfolio, people are only going to hire you for spaceships. You know what I mean? So build your portfolio. Reach out, and you can reach out and look for work. Some people are uncomfortable with that. I don't know how you feel about that, Anne, but sometimes if you see a business that maybe needs some help, you can do some work preemptively and just kind of send it, say, hey, I made this, I think that it would look really cool, or offer them a deal saying, hey, I thought maybe you look like you guys needed this or that, and I can help, and I'm a student, and I would maybe be willing to do this for a discounted price. There's a lot of ways that you can get a hold of people for work, and then by the end of that year you have your part-time job lined up, so you have a little income to supplement. You have a pool, even if it's just a small pool of clients to reach out to get you started, so then the journey into freelance is not like leaping off a cliff. That's how I wish I would have done it. And I did not do it that way, and it was terrifying. So
yeah, Kyra, definitely think about ways to present your lettering in your portfolio. For example, you could mock up your lettering on like books if you want to do book cover designs, or have your lettering be logos. You just want to make sure your portfolio is, filled with lettering, but also present it in a commercial way so that clients can imagine how, your style and work could look on their products or for their brand.
That's an excellent point, Anne. Because when you put something in your portfolio, and even if it's good, you're not guaranteed to get somebody to hire you for that if they can't visualize how they would even use it. So that's a fabulous point.
And for me, for example, for murals, I actually also mock up a lot of my design just on photos of walls, because I don't always have a wall that I can actually paint on to include in my portfolio. So any chance you can mock up your lettering on products, definitely do it, because that can really increase the chance of you getting hired for a real project.
Yeah, that's great, and I think you could mock up stuff on, like you said, you do it on an image of a wall. You could mock it up on posters, on, like you said, books, and I would say, especially like for hand letterers, I think a really great way to find, like make a list of things that people want to consume when it comes to hand lettering art is you can pull up like Barnes and Nobles or like Starbucks, because they tend to have like a lot of like cup designs that have that sort of work on it, or calendars or postcards or notebooks, things like that. You can find a lot of things, and you can say, okay, I think this goes for any kind of artist. When it comes to like trying to mock something up like this, or trying to showcase your work in a functional way, you should ask yourself, well, what are people consuming these days? Like what's in demand, and then see how your work can be applied to that. That's what I would do. That's something I really want to work on for my portfolio, says Cody Bear. I need to make mock-ups. Yes, that would be so cool, Cody, because I would love to see your animals and everything on notebooks and coffee mugs and stuff like that. That would be great. Allison, how would you build a client base as a student? I can't remember if I read that one out or not. Mike Adams, we're actually using Adobe Fresco for drawing and painting on the iPad, not Illustrator. I think specifically like how to build a client base as a student is just a lot of what me and Ann just talked about, is like make the work for your portfolio, make the kind of work you want to be hired for, and present it in a manner that shows people who need designers how your work can be applied. Because something that I think designers might forget, because we are so used to designing things and making things, is we can pretty much visualize the functionality of it. Like, we're very visual people, and so that comes naturally to us. But somebody who needs to hire a designer because maybe they do not have a designer mind, they do need that mock-up and that extra showcase to show them how it can be used, because they might not be able to look at it and think to themselves, oh yeah, maybe I will put this on a cup, or maybe I will put this as like a like window text, or sometimes I don't think people can actually visualize that way. So it's up to us to not only be the designer, but also be like the marketing director for our own brand and everything. Is Dimension good for mural mock-ups? You might be able to do that. You could try that, yeah. Sharon says, I don't have Fresco, so can Adobe Sketch work as well? I believe so, yes, but you will not have the same features in Sketch as you will have here in Fresco. I think Fresco is like the new and improved raster and vector drawing and painting app. We've got maybe 10 minutes, I think, until we need to say goodbye. Again, I promise I'm on the right timetable now. I'm so, you know what it was? I'm so used to ending the Wednesday and Thursday shows on the hour instead of at the 30-minute mark that I saw we were coming up on the end of the hour, and I was like, oh no, here we go. Yeah, we've been doing a lot of names of people in the chats. I love the multicolor brush where you have like the space between all the different colors, by the way. That is so cool. That looks so good.
And it looks really cool, especially on the rake brushes. So having like all the lines be a different color.
Yes.
It's really awesome.
That is so neat. So what would you say, Anne, is your favorite brush to use? Like, I know you were talking about like liking the textures and color kind of unique brushes that you had, but like of the ones that you've kind of used today, what is your favorite one that feels the best to you and I guess brings you the most joy when you're illustrating?
I would say the copier brush. Any of these are really good to use. They just feel right to me. I don't know how to describe it, but there are just certain brushes that I'm really comfortable in. And this one just has that texture that I really like.
Nice. Yeah, my favorite brushes, like I said earlier, are like chalky brushes, and I found this brush. It's actually a brush that Sam Peterson uses as well, and it's like you're dragging like a rectangular piece of chalk across a blackboard. Ooh, is this my name? I feel so special. But it just has like that right amount of grit to it, and it's like I'm using the same stylus that I have always ever used, you know, on my iPad or on my computer, but for whatever reason when I have that brush, it's almost like I can feel the grain and feel the grit in the brush, and it just feels right, like you say. So I love it. Yay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, let's see if I have time to do another name.
Yeah, I think you probably do have time for another one. What are your thoughts on getting represented by an agency as an illustrator? Do you think it's better to do that than to go freelance? This from Vane Villamazar.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I would say having an agent is beneficial in a lot of ways, especially if you have a lot of work coming in and you need someone to be the project manager and the administrator, you know, doing all that. I don't want to say boring, but like the time consuming part of freelance where you have to invoice and the emails back and forth with the clients. But agents do take a certain percentage of your illustration pay. So I think I think it's great if you're already an established illustrator. That would be the way to go. When you're just starting out and you're still just trying to get clients, it would be harder for you to have an agent and having them take a cut of your pay when you're just, you know, starting out so fresh. Also, it's good to be doing all that administration and client communication on your own when you're starting out. So there are definitely like pros and cons to having an agent.
The administration work can be it's weird because like I always say, if you're gonna be freelance, you're not like the artwork part of it is only like a small portion of the actual job, because you're managing yourself, you're your own financial consultant, you are a marketer, you do like your branding and everything, you're like a publicist, you are so many different things. And then by the time you're done wearing all those hats and stuff, setting up a job, then you still have to do the work. So it can be, I think having an agent can probably be really useful if you find that that is not the kind of work that you're cut out for. And there's nothing wrong with that. Some people, it just doesn't compute, it's just not the kind of stuff that they really flourish in, and that's fine. But I think you're really right, Anne, in that when you're first starting out and you are just trying to get the job in general, it can be maybe more harmful than helpful if you're not making that much money at first anyways, and somebody's taking a cut of your income when you really just need to get started. So I would say, like, kind of stick it out as long as you can, and then if you decide that, I really do need an agent, then kind of look for that. I would say too, one of the hardest things for me, like doing everything on my own so far, has really been like quoting people prices and things, and an agent can really help you with that. I do want to point out we do have just a few minutes left before we have to take off for the day. So maybe, Anne, we can kind of recap all of the different names that you have done and show off what we worked on before we kind of say goodbye and let everybody know where they can find you. This is so cool. This turned out so neat. It's just such a cool collection of names.
Yeah, so I have a variety of styles going on here. We got scripts, some blocky letters, some very calligraphic looking lettering. So yeah, we did the multi-color feature on some of these.
Yeah, very cool.
So definitely check that out if you haven't used multicolor before.
Yeah, I gotta do it. These are so cool. And this is kind of like turned into like really like a chat appreciation piece. This is just really cool. Where, if somebody wants to find you online to check out more of your work and get updates on upcoming projects of yours, where's the best place for them to find you, Anne?
I would say Instagram at Ann Lettering. That's my Instagram handle.
Gotcha.
I am most active on there. And then you can also find my work on annlettering.com.
Okay.
Yeah, those are really the two places. And of course, Behance is another one.
And then do you have anything currently that, like, are you in the middle of any projects at the moment that we might be able to kind of tune in for more updates on? Are you in between projects, or you got anything in the works currently?
I would say right now I'm working on some resources for lettering artists or people who are interested in learning lettering. I just sent out a new vectoring practice worksheet to my newsletter subscribers. So if any of you are interested in learning how to use the pen tool in Adobe Illustrator, I am working on resources to help people with that.
Awesome. So can we become members of your mailing list just by going to your website?
Yeah, just through my website, there's a subscribed button on the top menu. So yeah, if you want to learn how to use the pen tool, I also am putting out lettering worksheets for people who want to just add more different variety of styles to their lettering. I have worksheets on different ways to draw like the letter A and B so far. So I'm gonna go down like the alphabet and put out a bunch of worksheets for that.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Anne, for joining us. This has been a fabulous stream. Thank you for kind of letting us know where we can find new resources. Thank you for illustrating our names. Thank you for hand lettering our names. That was so much fun. Thank you for your wonderful smile and your beautiful personality. It's been a pleasure hosting you, and I know that chat really enjoyed themselves as well. And we're gonna have to take off, but we will be back tomorrow, folks. We'll be back at the same time at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. So until next time, chat, and until next time, Anne, we're gonna take off, but it's been a blast. So goodbye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.